We're visiting Vancouver and its sister city, Victoria. With mountains off their back porches and the sea at their doorsteps, British Columbians thrive on love for the outdoors and a laid-back, active lifestyle. While Victoria maintained close ties with its British heritage, Vancouver is one of North America's most cosmopolitan, international, and multicultural cities. Vancouver is never too hot in the summer or too cold in the winter. When the rains fall, it's a fine mist, just enough to keep the surrounding Douglas fir forests green and lush. For climate alone, Vancouver is a popular destination any time of the year. To see for ourselves, we've come to the southeastern corner of Canada's far western province of British Columbia. Later in this half hour, we'll take the BC Ferry across the Strait of Georgia to the province's parliamentary seat, Victoria. British Columbia is Canada's door to the Pacific Rim, a region with a European heritage looking toward a future in Asia. This mix of East and West, nature and society, traditions and modernity inspires a dynamic, young, and exciting city. The mix of cultures, attitudes, and lifestyles offers the unexpected at every turn. Asian and European culinary traditions, boosted by local fresh fruits, vegetables, and fish, make Vancouver one of my favorite places to dine. Downtown apartments and condominiums teem with young, cosmopolitan, and international residents, ensuring that nightlife swings in downtown Vancouver. Our hotel is a good example of this dynamic mix. It caters to the highest standards of European luxury, and international business travelers will find what they need too. Staying downtown at the Metropolitan is convenient, and it helps me to get my bearings in Vancouver. Just east of downtown is Gastown and Chinatown. And of course, the West End is just west of us. Now, don't get that confused with the West Side near the University of British Columbia just southwest of here, or West Vancouver just northwest across Burett Inlet. That's just west of the North Shore. Then there's Asia West, a few miles south by the airport. I still get confused with Granville Island. It's not really an island, it's on False Creek, but never mind. Let's just go to the oldest part of town, Gastown. Let's face it, compared to cities in Europe and most of the eastern USA or Canada, calling this an historic district seems kind of silly. The oldest buildings are barely 100 years old. Yet this is the birthplace of modern Vancouver.
3 cheers for Captain Briggs and our fine ship, the Endurance! Hip, 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 hurrah!
Now Captain Briggs is a very fine...
To get the lowdown on this exciting story, visit the city's coolest new attraction, Storium. This slick multimedia theater captures that story from prehistory to modern times in verse and song. The story includes early explorers, the Hudson Bay Company, and British Columbia's tumultuous relations with its southern neighbor.
Let there be no more compromise, no more concessions. 54, 40, or fight.
When gold was discovered on the nearby Fraser River in 1859, the area became a rough-and-tumble frontier outpost, filled with lumberjacks, sailors, gold miners, and other characters of questionable intention. When Gassy Jack Dighton finally arrived in 1867 with a barrel of whiskey, a small collection of shacks soon surrounded the saloon keeper's tent. In 1870, this small group of buildings incorporated as the town of Granville, though locals still called it Gastown. About 10 years later, the Canadian Pacific Railroad arrived, and in 1886, the growing population of 1,000 souls changed the town's name to the city of Vancouver. Immediately, the newly christened city burned to the ground. Out of the ashes arose modern Vancouver. Visiting a popular tourist attraction is always a mixed bag. Here you'll find all the tacky tourist shops with the "Kiss Me, I'm Canadian" t-shirts. But you'll also find yourself in the midst of pleasant sidewalk cafes, good restaurants, and the best vintage clothing boutiques and modern art galleries in the city. I'm looking for a unique gift, and Gastown has a number of shops specializing in authentic First Nation art. But for a closer look into British Columbia's pre-European past, we're headed to the Museum of Anthropology on the University of British Columbia campus. The museum has prize findings from around the world, but we're focusing on the spectacular permanent exhibition of First Nation artifacts and art. The term First Nation refers to the people who settled in this area between 18 and 13,000 years ago. With bountiful salmon and sea life and plenty of wild game in the forests, the Salish were able to settle in permanent villages, develop a complex culture, and not take up traditional farming. British Columbia's First Nation developed complex societies based on fishing, hunting, and gathering. The totem pole, now a symbol of the First Nation's rich cultural and religious heritage, was nearly lost due to repressive government policies and disapproving Christian missionaries. By 1920, most totem poles had been carted away by collectors or left to rot in abandoned villages. In 1950, the University of British Columbia started a totem pole restoration project. The results are on display here. Part of the project's goal was to encourage contemporary First Nation artists to revive this traditional art form. This exciting renaissance produced new and impressive works such as The Raven and the First Men by Haida artist Bill Reed. The wood sculpture depicts the moment when the powerful and wise raven finds the first Haida people in a clamshell and coaxes them out. Outside, you'll find a reconstruction of a Haida house. If you look closely, you'll notice that the post and beam construction is the inspiration for the Museum of Anthropology itself. Canadian architect Arthur Erickson based the museum's award-winning design on traditional First Nation structures. First Nation peoples felt a strong connection with the surrounding forests, mountains, and water. Modern Vancouverites have kept alive a stunning bit of that spirit smack in the heart of their city. Our next stop, Stanley Park, is the natural choice for a casual walk during lunch or a vigorous jog after work. "1,000 acres of trails, beaches, forests, and lakes spread out right next to downtown Vancouver. Tennis, gardens, an aquarium, and pastoral solitude await tourists and busy urbanites alike. Of course, the love affair with nature is easy when nature stares back everywhere you look. Across Burrard Inlet and beyond the North Shore is Grouse Mountain. Just minutes from downtown, this natural getaway hosts hiking and mountain biking in the summer and skiing in the winter.
The trip today will take us 6 minutes to get to the top, bringing us to an elevation of 3,700 feet or 1,100 meters.
The easiest way to access this natural wonderland is on the sky ride to the top of Grouse Mountain. From the top, you can take nature walks or catch a lumberjack show. Long in Northwest tradition, these athletes show off the skills once important to their craft. Of course, in the winter, these hills are alive with thousands of locals and visitors shushing down some of North America's best ski slopes. For a more contemplative outdoor experience, you can plan a stop at the nearby Lynn Canyon Ecology Center. It's much less touristy, a plus, and a great place to get to know the plants, animals, geography, and ecology of the North American rainforest. Kids love it, and the center caters to their needs with a variety of activities. For me, one of the best parts is the 20-story high suspension bridge across Lynn Creek. Boy, this bridge is, I notice, is rocking back and forth. Is this a safe suspension bridge?
It is, yeah. It's inspected once a week, and the cables
When was the
and
last,
decking.
was it like 6.5
on Friday?
days ago?
Friday, yeah. Every Friday it's inspected.
This is gorgeous. It's like the forest primeval. It's really gorgeous. This doesn't seem like a rainforest. I associate rainforest with South America and tropic, humid weather.
Warm weather, yeah. No, this is west coast of Vancouver is a temperate rainforest, so the climate's much cooler, and we do get quite a lot of rain, over 200 millimeters of rain a year.
Out here in the rainforest, it's easy to forget we're only minutes from one of the most urban, multicultural cities in North America. When gold was discovered in 1858, 25,000 prospectors flooded into the area. Thousands of these hopeful prospectors came from China. Thousands more came during the 1880s to help build the Canadian Pacific Railway over the Rocky Mountains. And another wave of immigrants came north to escape harsh anti-Chinese laws in the United States. The Asian immigrants settled in Vancouver and helped create the third largest Chinatown in North America. During the 1980s, affluent Chinese flocked to British Columbia when the British government ceded Hong Kong to mainland China. Chinese is now the province's most spoken language after English. But old Chinatown did not appeal to these newly minted Canadians, so Richmond, a suburb just south of Vancouver, became the new Asia West. The Aberdeen Centre is a tangible representation of Vancouver blending the best of the East with the best of the West. To me, this state-of-the-art shopping and entertainment center is more reminiscent of the new Singapore or Hong Kong than of old China, with its grocery and department stores, restaurants, and entertainment, all in a dazzling display of Asia now. And where else can you sample dim sum, check out the newest electronics from Asia, or sip authentic Chinese tea, all under one roof? The Aberdeen Centre is a great place to play and shop, especially on a rainy day. But today, the sun is out, so we're off to visit one of the most popular destinations for Vancouverites and visitors alike, Granville Island. The name Granville Island, like many place names in Vancouver, is a little misleading. Granville's more a peninsula than an island. It lies across False Creek from downtown, but False Creek's not really a creek. I think I got it. Once a collection of rusty factories and warehouses, Granville Island's now a thriving public market and arts center. The island houses dozens of galleries, crafts stores, a maritime market, an art school, theaters, museums, and restaurants. Local farmers peddle their fresh produce, and fishermen offer up their daily catch. British Columbians' taste for fresh food even extends to their beer. Granville Island was the first Canadian microbrewery and one of a handful of breweries that spearheaded the North American beer renaissance.
We brew in smaller batches, and we brew according to the Bavarian purity law, which means there's only water, yeast, hops, and malt in most of our beers.
And do you brew right here on the premises?
We do indeed.
All right, well, what do you suggest I taste?
Well, the Pilsner is brewed right here.
A Pilsner is a light, tangy, refreshing summer beer as opposed to the heavy, darker, bitter ales. I'm in the mood for something light, so I suggest their fruity, unfiltered wheat beer, the Robeson Street Hefeweizen. Wow, I like that. Do you drink beer?
Oh, I love it.
You're not tired of it?
Well, when they come out with new limited release beers all the time, I can't get tired.
Well, cheers. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Even though Granville's not an island, the easiest way to get back downtown is to take the Aqua Bus. The Aquabus can drop us off at several locations, or we can just stay on board for a watery tour of Vancouver. We're just crossing False Creek to one of the city's hottest new neighborhoods, Yaletown. With its large, young downtown population, Vancouver's nightlife is a 7-nights-a-week affair, and Yaletown buzzes with the trendy restaurants and avant-garde nightclubs favored by the locals. Just remember, during the summer, the term after dark in Vancouver is a relative term. It often doesn't get dark till after 10 p.m. The point is, no matter your taste or inclination, you'll find plenty to do in Vancouver after dark. Enjoy a late-night snack, an intimate drink among friends, sidewalk dining, or a little shopping. Vancouver's multiculturalism ensures a wide variety of places to eat. But we're going back to our hotel, which just happens to house one of Vancouver's award-winning restaurants. Diva at the Met is an example of why Vancouver is high in the culinary map. We've already seen the city's many cultural influences, and chefs such as award-winning Ray Henry know why that makes a difference.
I think what makes Vancouver unique is the diverse cultures that are so close together here. I mean, 3 blocks away we have Chinatown, we have a little India here, and it's very influenced on how we cook here. We might take 1 or 2 flavors and tweak it a little bit, give it a French influence or give it an Asian twist. It's part of our evolution as chefs. You're constantly walking down, you're constantly seeing different things from different cultures, and you're always applying it to new menus, seasonally, fresh ingredients, and so on and so forth. So,
what sort of fresh ingredients does this region enjoy?
oh, it's a big bounty of stuff. We have the Lower Mainland, the Fraser Valley, a lot of berries. We have wild mushrooms that grow up in the Okanagan Valley. We have peaches, pears, beautiful wines that grow up there as well. So regionally, we're very blessed here. I mean, this is mini France right here in Vancouver for sure.
There's no better way to end a great visit to Vancouver than with an excellent dinner. And now it's time to say goodnight, because early tomorrow morning, we catch a ferry to Victoria. The city of Victoria is just across the Strait of Georgia on Vancouver Island. Short of flying, the only way to get to Victoria is to catch the BC ferry. The crossing takes about 95 minutes, but give yourself extra time for loading on the ferry. We booked ahead since we're visiting here during a busy summer month. Named for Queen Victoria, this small but lively city has long reveled in its strong British heritage. Some say the Victorians outdo the Brits when it comes to afternoon tea. And there's no better place to find out than the Fairmont Empress Hotel. Built in 1897, the hotel has been lovingly restored in all its elegant grandeur. Be sure to make reservations and be prepared to tell your waiter if you want 1 lump or 2. This is an entire meal in 3 plates.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Once an outpost of the British Empire, Victoria is now the provincial capital of British Columbia. While the sun of the empire is not yet set on fish and chips, Highland dancers, and lawn bowling, there is another side to the tweed curtain. Like Vancouver, Victoria enjoys a mild year-round climate, and locals love to get outdoors. Victoria is officially Canada's fittest city and the nation's cycling capital. Commuting to work on a bicycle isn't just a fad in this town. Most people can ride their bikes to work in 30 minutes or less, and up to 20% of them do just that. Victorians are also the world's most safety conscious. It's said that 92% of them always wear bike helmets. But don't let the locals' penchant for biking, hiking, and sailing fool you. It's not Vancouver, but there is plenty of nightlife with restaurants, nightclubs, and even a Chinatown in this easy-to-walk small city. Victoria is noted for fine dining. Its chefs, like those in Vancouver, get their inspiration and produce from the local farmers. The mild climate has helped establish Vancouver Island as Canada's Provence. But perhaps the most unusual crop comes from the oldest source of food, the sea. Just 40 minutes west of Victoria, we're visiting Outer Coast Seaweeds and Diane Bernard, the seaweed lady.
Right here is the world's most famous seaweed. One seaweed, one use, and it's a $12 billion industry internationally.
This is the dark green stuff that is wrapped around the rice when I eat sushi.
That's right. The Japanese will take this and make a slur of it or a mash, and then respray it back down into their sheets and roast it, and then package it and ship it all over the world.
So it's just right here all the time?
Yes.
Or at least in the summer?
This is a really gelatinous seaweed. Here again, you can get the colors, and it almost in the sunlight will have a blue tinge. This is iridea, Latin for iridescent, and it's locally known as a rainbow seaweed.
Good for...
And we use this in our facial products. Put that, feel that. It's just gorgeous and soft and silky. Rudy, we're going to make you beautiful before the end of the show.
The sea isn't big enough to do that.
Oh, Rudy, seaweeds are wonderful. They're wild, exotic, diverse, they're tasty, loaded with vitamins and minerals.
In contrast to this garden from the sea, Victoria also preserves one of the world's finest dryland gardens. At the beginning of the last century, Robert Butchart built a cement factory near here and began mining the rich limestone deposit. The resulting huge pit bothered his wife Jenny, who began hauling in tons of topsoil by horse cart. Soon the former limestone pit began to blossom, and neighbors would come by to stroll through her Japanese garden or gawk at her noisy peacocks. By the 1920s, 50,000 people each year were visiting Jenny Butchart's creation. Now, 55 acres of gardens greet visitors from around the world. The garden is planted to highlight each season, so no matter when you visit, there's always something beautiful to see. Butchart Garden, with its flowers, plants, and birds from around the world, is a perfect metaphor for Victoria and Vancouver. From diverse influences and cultural roots that reach back to Europe, Asia, and the First Nations, come two Pacific Rim cities that teem with excitement, harmony, and beauty. When you visit this corner of Canada, experience it like a British Columbian. Take time to enjoy the outdoors, explore the diverse cultures, and don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Until next time, I'm Rudy Maxa. Cheerio.